Hi Muglets! Today we're raising Navia. She's a really interesting character, one of the first new 5-star Geo characters we've had in a long time. As usual, let's start with raising her and talking about what she needs. We can also appreciate this new system. We're gonna just hit auto add here. We're gonna go up to 19 immediately. And there's no pop-up window. That's so amazingly nice. I love it so much already. Also, while we're raising her here, I do want to mention and give a big thanks to Genshin Impact because they did sponsor this video. We of course need Geo Chunks and Transoceanic Pearls again. Springing the first dewdrop here, all 70 of them or so are in this tiny little area underwater, so they should be relatively easy to farm. Starting from the second ascension, we will need these Coppelius drops from the world boss over here in Fountain of Lucine. Just remember, when you're starting the battle, you need to choose Tri-Nemesis of Coppelius to get the right materials. I really like how she gets crit damage on Ascension. That is my favorite stat. But yeah, total material requirements for Navia are currently on screen, all the way up to level 90. Pause and or take a screenshot if you feel like this will be helpful later. As for talents, I feel like they're all important. Of course, we're going to dive more into details with the talent and constellation review. Unfortunately, also requiring Transoceanic Pearls, but what can you do? But also Teachings of Equity, which are open Monday, Thursday, Sunday. I do feel like order of priority is skill, basic, ultimate, with her elemental skill being the most important. But outside of some exceptions, most main DPSs want all their skills raised anyway. Past level 6, of course, we need some weekly boss materials. Here's a list of talent materials. Keep in mind, these materials are for a single talent though, so if you're gonna get them all up to the same level, just triple the totals. And while we don't use signature weapons for the raising showcase, I figure it's good to talk about that as well, the materials required, etc. For the resin materials, we need movement of an ancient cord, which is also open Monday, Thursday, Sunday. Alien life cores dropped from Breacher Primus, and gears dropped from the Clockwork Mechas. All materials, of course, found all around Fontaine. Once again, totals on screen to get it all the way to level 90. But yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the talent and constellation overview. Her normal attack isn't anything special right now, though I really do like her basic attack animation. On the third hit, she kicks her claymore and it spins around. And then the fourth one is like a jumping uppercut. Her umbrella comes out and she falls to the ground. It's a really nice and smooth animation. Also, I'm quite sure she is the only 5-star claymore user who has a spinning charged attack. Most of the others like Diluc here just have a slashing combo. So I thought that was pretty neat. Our first 5-star Beyblader. Her elemental skills description is quite long, as you can see from over here. So I'm going to shorten it down to the key points. It is basically a Geo attack. This Geo attack can become a lot stronger depending on how many crystal shrapnel stacks Navia has. And you get these stacks by picking up the crystals made from Crystallize, which is just Geo plus Hydro, Cryo, Pyro, or Electro. And she can get up to 6 of these crystal shrapnel stacks. The first 3 of which increase the amount of charge shots she fires, basically just increasing the damage. At 3 stacks, you'll fire 11 Rosula shard shots. And when that happens, 200% of the original amount of damage is dealt. For every stack after that, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, each stack will increase the overall Gunbrella attack by 15%. So you should always have at least 3 stacks, but having all 6 will give you the maximum damage possible. You can also hold her elemental skill. You'll go into aiming mode and continually suck in all the crystals or elemental shards created by Crystallize. The damage or cooldown aren't changed by holding mode, but there are those different effects there. Navia is also Usia aligned, and this is where her Usia attack comes into play. Whenever she does her elemental skill, a Surging Blade will be summoning, dealing Usia aligned Geo damage. Her first passive here interacts with both her skill and basic attack. For 4 seconds after using her skill, the Gumbrella attack, her normal attacks will not only be infused with Geo, which is of course very good, but the damage will also be increased by 40%. 4 seconds might not seem like a long time, but it's always enough to at least get a full normal attack rotation off. One thing of note, which I don't usually touch on in the talent and constellation overview, is the absolutely crazy multiplier on this attack. At level 6, it's sitting at 552%, and this is the base damage. Remember, I said for each stack you get, this becomes stronger. So 552 is 0 stack, just tapping E and being done with it. But yeah, just wanted to touch on that because it is absolutely something that stands out. The nuke potential is out of this world. Her ultimate is a little bit separated from the rest of her kit. It is essentially an AoE Geo Shower for 12 seconds. It will remain once she's off field. The one thing it does connect to is her stacking system. Up to every 2.4 seconds when an enemy is hit with her burst, she will gain a free crystal shrapnel stack. So that's one less crystallized reaction you have to do. Her other passive here gives her a 20% attack increase for each main element unit you have in your team, up to 2. And I'm glad it can only stack up to 2 times. You'll see once we talk about teams. Her exploration talent, we get 25% more rewards when dispatched on a Fontaine expedition for 20 hours, which is whatever, not really worth talking about to be honest. As for constellations, they're honestly a little bit weird. C1 does little, if anything at all, for her own damage. You can build her with a little bit less energy recharge because it primarily just does give her energy, which in turn means you can build her with more offensive stats. So in a way it can increase her damage, but the cooldown on her ultimate is kind of useless right now. It could be a good investment for the future when a quick swap Navia team is possible, but I wouldn't get C1 on the hopes that it could be useful in the future. C2 on the other hand is a pretty decent damage increase. It's basically 36% crit rate for her elemental skill, which is far and away her biggest source of damage. She'll also fire 1 boulder from her ultimate every time she uses her skill, which isn't a ton of damage, but it's okay. C3 is another pretty big damage boost. It's 3 talent levels for her skill, which again is her most important thing, and you can't really replace multipliers with other stats. C4 is 20% geo-res reduction when her burst hits an opponent. I would say it's not an amazing constellation for it being so deep into her constellations, you know? Still though, 20% geo-res is something. C5 is her burst talents leveled up by 3. Again, not quite as good as C3, but what else were they gonna put here? C6 sounds pretty dang good though. So she's got this stacking system, it goes up to 6. Every stack after 3 will increase the crit damage of her skill by 45%. Like 135% extra crit damage for her skill. Not only that, but every stack after 3 is returned to you as well. So you could do a 6 stack with 135% extra crit damage and then still have 3 stacks, which basically means for every rotation after the first, you only need 3 stacks to completely max out the damage. So C6 sounds really interesting. Looking forward to actually trying that out. But yeah, that's basically the talent and constellation overview. Let's talk about weapons real quick. There are some interesting options for her. The biggest of which, besides her signature obviously, is Serpent Spine. Serpent Spine is a broken weapon. At R5 Serpent Spine, it's basically on par, if not sometimes a little stronger and sometimes a little weaker, but regardless, it's pretty close. So I'd say, especially if you have R5 Serpent Spine, I would think twice about even summoning on the weapon banner. If you don't have Serpent Spine or plan to get it, the other 5-star options are like Wolf's Gravestone, Beacon of the Reed Sea is decent. The Talking Stick's also good, but just get Serpent Spine because they're both from Battle Pass. And if you don't have any of those, then the weapon we talked about just recently, the Ultimate Overlord's Mega Magic Sword, I think it's called, is a freely R5-able event weapon, the event dropping with Navia actually. So go play that, get it to R5, and that'll be a solid option for her as well. Since you don't have access to the event right now, I'm probably just gonna go with like Serpent Spine for this showcase. I know it's a Battle Pass weapon, but outside of the event one, there aren't any really good 4-star options. We'll stop at level 80 for now, but I feel like for weapons, it really hinders a character to not have them maxed. But what can you do? Raising modes typically aren't super focused on the damage of a character anyway. And sure, we'll get it up to R3. I think that's just a nice middle ground. As for artifacts, of course, we do have a new set. I've never even been to the domain. Nighttime Whispers in the Echoing Woods. This is essentially her signature set. However, I would argue, unless you really want to get your hands on some Song of Days Past, I personally am not convinced to spend my resin in this domain because 4-piece Golden Shroop is at least somewhat close in terms of actual damage output. And yeah, she can't get that other 25% on the 4-piece set, but it's still 45% elemental skill damage bonus, which again is her main source of damage. Of course, if you have Farina and you're using her with your Navia, the Hunter set is then technically her best. Pretty much like with most other DPSs when you have Farina in your team. It's just the Hunter set is very hard to beat when you can actually utilize it and get the 36 crit rate. For today, for raising mode, we'll not use Farina. Just to keep it a little simpler, for the God mode, we'll explore like her best teams. As she is an attack scaler, we need the sort of typical DPS stats, and even though the crystallized shields do get stronger with EM, we mostly want to avoid EM. It's just not really a worthy stat for Geos in general. We mainly focused on crit rate, crit damage, and attack percent substats with a little bit of energy recharge thrown in there. For the main stats, we have attack percent on Sands, geo damage bonus on Goblet, and crit damage on Circlet. Her overall stats will get a lot better once she's finished. For now, we have 2000 attack, 65 crit to 167 crit damage, which is a decent 1-to-2 ratio there. I wish both values were a little higher, but again, once she's 90 and Serpent Spine is finished, that should get a bit better. We got 125 energy recharge. We'll see if that's enough. But yeah, overall, I'd say she's fine for now. Moving on to teams, this is where it gets a little tricky. With Navia, you want to do a lot of crystallize. That's what her entire kit revolves around. She herself can provide enough Geo alone, but mainly with her ultimate, so it kind of just messes up that first rotation. Best case, you have another Geo with you. And unfortunately, the only two really good off-field Geos are both 5 stars. The best one actually being Albedo. So for newer players that have an Albedo gathering dust, this would be actually a very good use case for him. If you don't have Albedo, Zhongli is another good option for this spot. Outside of that, there's not any really good options. For this showcase, we're going to use Zhongli just to keep things simpler. It also gives us Geo Resonance, which is a very powerful resonance. And then of course, for the other 2 spots, not only to actually do crystallize reactions, but to max out her passive, we want 2 Pyro, Electro, Cryo, or Hydros. Best case here would be Farina, but Yelan also works. And since we're not going the Hunter set, we are going to actually take Yelan. Final spot, especially if you were to take Farina, would be a healer. Bennett's 1000 attack boost is just generally hard to beat. With Farina, you won't really be able to get all the fanfare stacks, but still the 1000 attack makes up for it. In this Navia team at least. Another option besides Bennett is actually Mika. Mika gives a pretty substantial speed buff, allowing Navia to normal attack faster after her skill. I think for now we are just going to go ahead and go with this team. It's not the best by any means, but I feel like more people will have these units over the best team. Yelan, maybe not so much. She can also be replaced with Fischl. The main point of the Yelan/Farina slot is that we have off-field damage to continue producing crystallize. We'll keep Yelan in our team, but Fischl is another good option. As for the little raising mode showcase, let's at least warm up on good old Masanori, then we'll try one of the local legends. Again, the basic goal of the team is to create lots of crystallize and do a big elemental skill attack with Navia. So sure, let's go ahead and do Yelan's ultimate here. We have Zhongli's pillars going, you know, creating crystallize, all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and get Benny's burst in there. So we already have, you know, a couple of good stacks here. We have like, let's try and wait until we at least have 3 stacks. There we go. We can go ahead and hold this now and pop him for... I really wasn't expecting that already. What? 130k? I'm not sure if I even did everything right. I was just kind of flabbergasted and let her die, so let's fix that real quick. Whoa, okay. Let's try that one more time after healing up. I feel like we also should do Navia's ultimate before her E, because that will help us get stacks faster. All right, let's give this another try here. We're just gonna get Zhongli's shield here. Go ahead and get Benny's ultimate, get Navia's ultimate, and yeah, so we only have 1 stack currently. Let's go ahead and pick that. All right, almost. Let's wait for that 6th stack. Okay. I didn't see it, probably didn't crit. That was a little scuffed as well, so we're gonna have to try that again. It seems like Navia's energy is almost enough though, like we have her burst back already. All right, this time it looks like we almost have. Oh, did he block? Did he block the first time also? You son of a... Yeah, okay, let's just head to one of the local legends. Also, we currently have all stacks and these last for like 5 entire minutes. And the timer resets once you get a new one, so we don't have to worry about that for a while. But yeah, I just kind of want to see what we can do on Liam here. So here we go. Benny now, sure, we're gonna do Navia's ultimate. And then, yeah, tap E, really? We got a 154 there. That was pretty good. Let's just do it again for a 90k. We still have 3 stacks, actually more. Okay, there's an 83. That was actually a lot of damage pretty quick. I'm probably not doing everything perfectly. I'm not super used to Navia yet. So we're just kind of freestyling now. Do another Benny burst. Benny is ready. We're just gonna tap that. We're for a 140. I don't even know if I had the stacks that time. Let's hold it to get all these crystallize around. Okay, that one didn't crit, unfortunately. Sure, let's do her ultimate. We can gain some stacks in the meantime while we're doing the rest of the rotation here. Do a little Zhongli burst, sure, why not? Tap that for a 153. So yeah, the individual taps here are like actually pretty insane, considering this is still raising mode. Yeah, I think she died. That was unfortunate. Oh, everyone's dying. Yeah, Liam gets absolutely wild, like with his last 5% HP. I noticed that the other couple times I fought him. But I mean, yeah, definitely no one rotation Liam. She is still relatively weak compared to her full potential, but honestly, I'm already really impressed with her and am super excited to check out God mode. Let me know what you think about Navia in the comments down below. Dropping a like or subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed the video is always greatly appreciated as well. Thanks, as always, for watching, and until next time.